Hello,
Hi, good
everyone.
evening. Hi, good evening, ma'am.
Hello.
Good
Can I
evening, all.
ask everyone to please mute your Zoom screens? Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the IIMA-BPGP admissions webinar. We are joined today with three of our professors who've been teaching in the program, and they're here to share their experience with you. My name is Priyansha. I handle the admissions for the BPGP program, and I'm sure you've seen my name in multiple places. And all your questions regarding admissions and programs, please, I would request you to direct it to our inquiry email ID, which will appear in your chat shortly. Let me just briefly tell you how the flow of this webinar is going to be. We are going to start with asking our professors a couple of questions, and it is going to be a discussion where you will try to understand how their experience has been teaching in the program and what courses they are offering. And if you have any questions, I would request you to please keep it with you until the end. In the end, we will open it for live Q&A, where we will take your questions and we'll try our best to answer them. We are also joined by two of our students. Both of them are batch representatives for their cohorts. We have two cohorts running currently. So we will also be asking them for their insights. As well as joining us today is the chairperson of the program, Professor Joshi Jacob. So you will also hear him in bits and pieces. So let's begin, professors. Firstly, I think I would like you guys to just generally tell us about yourself and your association with IIMA, and what courses are you teaching BPGP?
Should I start?
Please.
Yeah? Okay. So hello everyone. I'm Lakshmi Goyal. I'm a faculty in the strategy area, and I've been with IIMA Ahmedabad for 1.5 years now, a little more than a year and a half. So yes, one of the newest faculty members here. Having said that, I have been with IIM Calcutta. I was with IIM Calcutta before IIM Ahmedabad for a period of about 2.5 years. And here with the BPGP program, I co-teach the course on strategic management along with two of my colleagues in the first batch, and this time it's going to be with Professor Vivek. So yeah, that's it about from my side.
Ma'am, what courses have you taught in BPGP so far?
BPGP has largely been the core course on strategic management. I have not really offered in any electives so far, but then maybe going forward, there is a plan of offering a few of them. Sure. Yeah. So.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Dhiman Bhadra. I am a statistician by profession and belong to the operations and decision sciences area. I have been here forever, I guess, like from 2012 onwards. So this year will mark my, I think, 14 years. So I teach a core course in BPGP called Statistical Analysis for Managerial Decisions. Unfortunately or unfortunately, I teach both the sections. So as a result, I am quite unpopular with the student cohort. I don't mind that. And I have been offering an elective called Applied Regression Methods. So currently the first iteration is ongoing. So the second year of the first cohort is taking it. So I have enjoyed teaching the BPGP. That's all I can say. And I look forward to teaching the incoming batch as well. Thank you.
Okay, so I am Vivek Bhattacharya. I am an assistant professor in the strategy area at IIM Ahmedabad. I've finished just over 2 years at the institute. I also, along with Professor Lakshmi, teach the core course in strategic management in the first year. And I've also offered 2 electives for the BPGP batch. One is on my research interest, which is non-market strategy. So the course is titled Strategic Management for Non-Market Environments. And another kind of I've tried to integrate a little bit of data-driven decision-making with strategy. So the other course I offer is called Fundamental Strategic Trade-offs and Data-Driven Decision-Making. So both these electives I offer in the second year. And as Dhiman said, it has been a really nice experience to teach the BPGP program.
So professors, IIMA is known for the academic rigor that we have in our programs. And considering BPGP, the kind of program it is, it is offered in a blended format, often 80% of it happening online. How do you think that what tools or techniques do you adopt to make sure that that rigor is still intact while teaching a program in a format like that?
Personally speaking, based on my experience of teaching the strategic management course with BPGP, I don't think that the rigor had been compromised in any which aspect, even though, as you mentioned, the program is largely offered in the online mode, right? A couple of things, a few things which was practiced by the participants and reinforced by faculty. First of all, because the pedagogy here at IIM Ahmedabad is largely case-based. So preparation with cases is an absolute must, especially when you talk of courses in strategy, marketing, OB, HR, and so on and so forth. It's not a lecture-based, kind of a teaching method that we follow. So I think that is reinforced time and again by the faculty members. And since it was the first batch, and Ashwath is anyways here, so he would, also attest for it, that the participants themselves were extremely enthused, and they also in a way ensured that they are prepared for the class. Second, here again, we do form groups when you discuss certain cases, and a lot of participants, despite having their hectic work schedules, did manage to take out time during the week, prepare with the case, discuss with each other, collaborate on that front, which again added a lot to classroom discussions. So a lot of aspects with respect to rigor, while it was reinforced by the faculty, it was also imbibed by the participants very seamlessly. There was just one incident, and it kind of reminds me of it. So we had the first few sessions on campus of the strategic management course, and I'm in a way infamous for not allowing students who are late to the class even by a couple of minutes, and infamous to the extent that I generally just lock up the door. So your late entrance is just not allowed, right? And after making this announcement in the first couple of sessions, in the third session, then we saw that in the first couple of sessions, one or two participants, they were just still trying to find their way in the IIMA campus, and they were late by a couple of minutes, and then a warning was given, and then they were allowed. The very next session, our class reps, so both Ashwath and Ajit, what they did was they locked up the class from inside. Class timing, the class was locked from inside. I did not have to say a word. They imbibed that immediately, and that incident still remains. And I make sure I give this as an example to the other programs as well. Right? So that is the extent to which the batch themselves have, kind of imbibed some of these practices. So I don't think at any point in time rigor gets compromised. In fact, these participants end up performing much better as well, right, in terms of classroom preparation. So that's what was my feeling.
Yeah, so the way I teach is a bit different from what Professor Goyal has mentioned. In fact, I am an outlier in that sense, because in the last 12 years I have been here, or 14 years, I have never used a single case. Okay, so mine is completely lecture driven and lecture based. I make my own notes, and I keep blanks in those notes, and I send those notes in advance to the cohort. And during the sessions, I just use those notes and I fill in the blanks with my students, the participants. I have been doing the same for PGP, PGPX, and any other programs. But my experience of teaching the BPGP has been, different in the way that the quality of interactions that I have had has been significantly better than even what I experienced in my PGP or PGPX batches. This was primarily driven by, I would say, this urge to learn, and this, this tendency of not taking the IIMA brand for granted, which something that I at least perceive in the PGP and PGPX batch, a sense of entitlement. That is not there in the BPGP cohort yet. And that in turn has a positive impact on the learning, the in-class discussions, and again the quality of questions that I have been asked during the class, which in turn has sort of forced me to rethink some of the well-known statistical concepts, which I took for granted. Okay, so basically my batch forced me to rethink and recontemplate some statistical truisms. And as a result, when I look back, to the last 2 years of teaching the BPGP, I can confidently say that it has been the most fulfilling and enriching experience. So, like generally, the classes used to be at night for my sessions, SMD, which I think is true for others. And generally that time of the day, 8:30, 9:30 at night, that's when the energy seems to be the lowest. But in my case, at least, I didn't really feel that I am at a low web, and credit goes to my students. So I basically looked forward to those sessions for reasons I mentioned. I think it basically boils down to the fact that, even after a long day, if my students can give their everything to the learning process, why am I, being a professor, can't do the same? So it was like, a very fruitful collaboration, I would say. And just like Professor Boyle said about the in-class discussions, in my course, there was a group assignment. And generally for group assignments, there is a overriding tendency to sort of, do things easy, take things easy, and to free write, frankly. But as far as the BPGP was concerned, when I looked at the group assignments, and that's something which I do, I don't, my A's don't do it, I grade those. So I could feel, based on my experience, that they have sincerely made an effort to sort of relearn, revise all the concepts. And some of the groups actually went a step, sort of went out of their way to use techniques which I haven't taught them. So that sort of left a very positive imprint on my mind. Thank you.
Yeah. So my co-panelists have almost covered everything. I think again, I would kind of reiterate that I didn't feel much of a difference between a physical classroom and an online classroom, but a lot of credit to that goes to our team, who have we have very advanced infrastructure here, which kind of made it seamless. Also, probably because during COVID, a lot of us kind of taught online or attended classes online. We have kind of tweaked our pedagogy in a way. So, for example, in in a physical classroom, we would probably divide them into groups and send them in different corners. Here we send them into breakout rooms where they kind of discuss and then come back again and we discuss as a whole, as a class. So those tweaks to our pedagogical style we have made. Otherwise the content, especially I can speak for my course strategy, the content, the cases, everything we have kept the same, and I didn't feel much of a difference in terms of the interaction or the delivery.
Yeah, if I could just add on to what Professor Vivek mentioned, and responding to one of the questions which Siddharth Agarwal had raised very early on, regarding whether the cases which are used or whether the course which is there for BPGP, is it similar to the PGP and the PGPX batches, right? Now, especially for the strategic management course, in fact, the course that we offer to BPGP is a more extended version. Advanced. Primarily because, people have immense amount of work experience, all of you guys are still working, and you have a lot more to contribute. The participants have a lot more to contribute in terms of class discussions. They can rely on their experience, they can rely on their own, the kind of decision-making activities that they see in their organizations, and bring that to classroom as well, right? So, the course structure is slightly more advanced as far as the BPGP batch goes. The cases that we again use, as Professor Vivek also mentioned, is similar to what we use for the PGP as well as the PGPX batches. So many of them are Harvard cases. Some of them are also cases which have been co-authored by our own faculty members. So we have, some of us have actually worked very closely with certain organizations and have documented, have kind of also written down cases with them. So we also use a number of those cases as well. So it's similar. It's no way lesser than what is being offered to the PGP as well as the PGPX.
I think if I have to extend this question to you, Ashwath, you are in your second year now, and I'm sure you've been on campus multiple times. You've also interacted with your peers from other programs. How do you feel the rigor of the program? How is it? Is it? I know for a fact that it's hitting you guys hard, but can you tell us how it has been for you in terms of your experience in the class?
Absolutely. First off, I hope I'm audible. If someone
Yes.
can give me a thumbs up, yeah. Um, the way I see it, right, very objectively, if you look at it, then if you look at a PGP, PGPX student, they're living a student campus life, right? That is it. They're aware of it. That's what they do the entire day. When you blend that with personal responsibilities, work responsibilities, uh, it is far more rigorous. um, just in terms of making sure you do make it to class, you do make it to your workplace, you do make it, for members in your personal life as well. But when it comes to the academic rigor, I think all of us were bought into the process of what IMA is all about. So even to date, we turn up for every single lecture extremely well prepared, read up on the case, discussed it with our peers as well. Each and every one of us, there are 130 of us in my cohort, there are another 113 Jainas, have figured out our own way of balancing everything in their life to be able to still give our best in every aspect. But I think what the rigor has really helped us do is, stretch us to a point where we'll also be able to expand our capabilities really well. And what is, if I can personally share, what is great is within the confines of the lecture or the class that's happening, say on Zoom or on campus, no question is too far-fetched to ask our professors. You'll get an honest answer. You'll even get an honest answer to the extent of them saying maybe they don't know right now, but they will get back to you. And I can't tell you how refreshing that is. For me personally, it is something that has rekindled my curiosity that I thought I had long lost. But I now got back, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, Ashwath. I think professors, like we, this program has a lot of diversity in its cohort. We get students from various, walks of life, from various industries, with various work experiences, with in a various different age brackets. How do you see that, adding value to your classes, and what does that impact been to teach such a diverse course? Because for other programs, the average age or work experience, everything is pretty similar, but this is really diverse in its range, what we have, especially the current two cohorts. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, yes. I think that's a very, very important aspect and also unique aspect as far as the BPGP batch goes, right? Because again, the PGPX students also have work experience, but they're not working. Yeah. They're still doing their sessions. With BPGP, especially again from the point of view of strategic management, which itself is a very application oriented course, right? So you require insights from the industry, and how can that be merged with a lot of theoretical frameworks that we have. One insight, I think, which was really great from the point of view of a very diverse cohort and the kind of value addition it brings about in class, is that whatever industry a case might be from, you will have at least a few participants who are working in that industry very closely, right? So even if the industry is as boring as a steel manufacturing industry, still you would have had participants who would either have worked with it previously or who would be working in that industry as of now, to the extent that when they also meet on Zoom, and then when they interact with each other, discuss the case before actually coming to the class, everybody is on the same page, more or less. Because a few people who would have worked in that industry would have communicated, the basic aspect, the value chain, etc., to the other members. So when you interact with them in a class, you know that these participants have actually interacted with each other. They have spoken to each other. They know the basics, the fundamentals of the industry, and which again elevates the class to the next level, because then the instructor does not really have to focus on the very basics, right? The instructor can actually start building on what they already knew. So I think the diversity in terms of experience is a big, big, big value addition. So we had people who knew founders in certain industries. We had a lot of participants who were in good senior leadership roles as well, who could bring in very strong insights, right from retail to steel to manufacturing to whatever industry that can be. Right? I think that was very exciting for me as a faculty as well, because every session, every classroom interaction is a two-way learning, right? So for us also, though we are on this side, we tend to gain a lot while interacting with the participants. A lot of insights we tend to gain. And yeah, that was, I think, really amazing interacting with the BPGP course.
Anything you want to add, Professor?
Yeah, so basically what Professor Goyal said sort of summarized my experience as well. But so in the very first session, I see the problem of teaching statistics is the word statistics. That's the only problem. So the first session is sort of the hardest because there I need to become familiar with my participants. So I do a short, not really quiz, but I ask them to share their experiences of analyzing data. And in doing so, I try to gauge to the best of my ability their sense of data literacy, their degree of data literacy. And I tell them that this course is not about making you experts in statistics or make you love statistics, because I am not sure whether I myself love statistics. So, but it is important to be data literate because the world we are living in is a highly data driven world, and it will become more and more like that as we move on. So then when they start talking and narrating their experiences of getting insights from data, and that's a huge learning experience for me, because I get to know how statistics is being applied in diverse disciplines, and this is very crucial for me because I can sort of figure out the class demographics in terms of their data literacy skill, and I also understand what I missed out myself by not working anywhere. So as Professor Goyal said, it's a two-way traffic and it's a symbiotic relationship. I learn a lot from them and I hope they learn something from me. But in the process, I think both of us, my participants and myself, we get enriched. So in many instances, when I revise my notes for the second batch, I incorporate some of the experiences that my previous year students have shared with me. And that way, I think my notes are becoming, better than what they were in the previous iteration. So yes, I think this diversity of of the batch in terms of where they have worked, their work experience, only sort of strengthen the overall learning experience, especially for a subject like statistics, which is nowadays applied everywhere and forms the bedrock of artificial intelligence. So so and this is exactly what I often miss out during my exchanges with the PGP cohort. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think again my co-panelists have covered a lot. I would want to kind of talk about my electives. I really found that also very enriching because of the diversity, and not only diversity in terms of industries or sectors, but also the roles they have played. So there are several things, at least in my courses, in non-market strategy. How did you deal with politicians? How did you kind of go about fighting regulations, navigating regulations? So these are things which some of the participants had experienced in their role, and they brought those stories. In fact, we used to have very vigorous or very kind of I would say very excited debates in one of my courses. I used to love that. So like I had the easiest job to kind of listen to kind of their points and their debates. So I really enjoyed that. So that kind of experience of also being in several senior leadership roles, middle level roles, so that also brought a lot of richness to the discussion.
Just to add to what Professor Vivek mentioned, right? So when we talk of MBA teaching, a lot of learning actually happens peer to peer, right? And so, in fact, you have traditional learning theories which say about 20% happens on your own, 20% happens when your faculty interacts with you, but 60% of learning actually happens when participants interact with each other. one assumes, and it's just an assumption, that maximum peer-to-peer learning happens when people are staying together, right? But I would really question this assumption because, based on my experience of interacting with the BPGP batch, uh, it's not just a function of staying together. It's also a function of to what extent you actually interact with with each other, to what extent you're also invested in each other, right? And to that end, again, the diversity of the cohort, people taking pole positions, extremely different kind of opposing positions, right, on a certain topic, and then interacting with each other. There's a good amount of peer-to-peer component, which we can see actually happening in the classroom. So I think that is the other unique aspect with respect to diversity and how it contributes to the peer-to-peer learning.
So, I mean, Professor, you know that most of our sessions happen, like Professor Badra mentioned, in the evenings, late nights, or on weekends. And evenings, especially because these are working professionals, they've had a long day of work and then they're coming to class. While they may be self-motivated, uh, do you find it challenging to retain their attention and get to them, or b do you adopt some different techniques from when you teach, say, a PGP or a PGPX, which or any other program which happens during, say, normal or routine hours? Do you see any difference in that, or do you see yourself using some other strategies or techniques, or do you have any uh, insights on that?
Do you want to start or shall I go
Okay,
first?
so
Yeah.
maybe I can take this one first. So, of course, like Professor Dhiman and Professor Goel has more experience than me. So I can talk from a faculty perspective. I think we have this, we kind of get trained or we get experience to kind of switch on, switch off. So we bring that energy whenever we are going to class, whenever we get into class, whenever it is, we bring on that energy. But I would always also credit the students. So for them, after a long day of work, to coming to class and participating, I had so many students who used to ask. So this is unique about the program. They used to ask for kind of discussion questions and kind of more guidelines much more in advance, so that they could prepare. So many of them, even in very busy weeks, they were very eager to kind of get the kind of the preparation instructions much more earlier than we usually share, so that they can prepare. And they also brought that energy into the classroom. So I think they also kind of learned this art of kind of, it must not have been easy to kind of attend these classes after a day of work, and then kind of like also you have other personal responsibilities. But I found each and every one of them very energetic and very participating.
As per my experience again, with the SM course, the strategic management course. So first of all, when you said this lack of attention, low energy, I think I would just go back to what Professor Deegan also mentioned. The participants actually have never been low on energy, right? See, these participants have made a conscious call of enrolling in this program, very well knowing that a day only has 24 hours, right? So they know in a way, they're very disciplined, and I guess they know in a way how to also manage their time in workplace as well as contribute and extract the maximum from the course. Secondly, when you talk of lack of attention, I think lack of attention is pervasive across population, right? So in this era of shorts, in this era of instant consumption, presuming that some of these students from the other programs have a lot of attention span itself could be misleading. So to that end, I don't think BPGP especially has less or more attention span. So I wouldn't really categorize it that. Third, again, since at least in a number of courses, number of areas, because the sessions are extremely case and interaction driven, participants do not have much of a choice but to contribute. So at IIM Ahmedabad, we are also infamous for cold calling, right? And a good percentage, at least in terms of evaluation, is also about class participation. So if participants do not really contribute in the classroom, that itself becomes, you're not really as salient compared to the others. So participants in general, kind of make sure that they're able to contribute in the class. Fourth, they are not low in energy because at least, again, as per my experience, and again, a couple of examples, and Ashwath could possibly kind of, no, I'm not taking names here though. There were participants who would stay back half an hour, 45 minutes after the class would get over. I would want to go home. I would be like, okay, it's almost 10:30, let me go home. But the participants would have a lot of questions, right? So that is the extent to which they have engaged. And as a faculty, that's really nice because from a faculty point of view, and that's an instant gratification for us, right? It's an instant point of satisfaction for us, and the participants are willing to engage. So I think it's been on the other side. So they have been more than willing to spend time with you, interact with you, and that has been a good plus point.
Yeah, I have not been as lucky as Professor Goyal. So every day I went home on time. So sometimes I felt bad that nobody kept me, beyond the class. So they were basically by 9:30 they were actually standing up, sort of bidding me goodbye. Enough of statistics. But jokes apart, yes, like sometimes their energy was infectious.
Yeah.
In many instances, I sometimes I have a long day of doing a lot of things. Sometimes I have a long day doing nothing. But
Good.
either way, my energy used to be drained. By the
Enjoy.
time it was
Have
six.
rice also together. Go.
So
Have
yeah,
rice together.
so yeah,
There's a
so
war going on. Being
Uh,
building or destroyed with missiles.
Guys, can you please mute
Huh?
your
I
uh,
think someone's unmuted.
yeah, Professor, please
yeah,
continue.
talking about missiles. So what the missiles that I used to face were statistical missiles. Uh, so those basically were quite intercontinental ballistic missiles, and that was a reflection on their energy and enthusiasm. But again, I know, just to reiterate, it was a very, very satisfying experience. I really can't quantify why it was satisfying because it's a combination of factors. But yeah, I can confidently say that, I would look forward to teaching the next cohort for, quite a few years now. And in my case, there was one issue whether the courses are comparable. The SAMD course that I have been teaching is more or less similar to the course that I teach in PGPX, although uh, I have been teaching some extra subtopics, again because of the level of interest that my participants have shown. So in that way, although quantitatively these were the same courses as far as outline was concerned, I think I ended up teaching a little more to the BPGP cohort.
I think I would also invite Jaina to shed some light on this. Jaina, you are a full-time working professional. Also, one more aspect about the program is that these students, apart from academics, also do a lot of non-academic activities for the program. And Jaina is also part of the student council. Jaina, tell us, how do you manage all of this? And do you find it exhausting, hectic, or are you enjoying the ride?
I think it's definitely been challenging. You kind of know now, once you've entered, we are 6 months into the program, our entire cohort, and now we know how best to kind of get our time's worth in that sense. Every minute we spend traveling back from work, we're reading cases. We have a podcast summary of all of the cases that we need to do. People at home also know that we have, we need help and support in sitting through the exams. And so there is a lot of components that come together for us to be able to deliver our best. And the good thing that keeps us going is just seeing all of our peers work towards the same goal. So if we have case study discussions and pre-read discussions a week before the class is scheduled, the entire cohort comes together and discusses what they have up for the upcoming week. So small exercises like these have kind of helped our entire cohort to be up to speed and be prepared enough for the class. And it has been very challenging in terms of there are weeks when it's been tough at work, right? So all our professors have been very kind in the sense that they help us give a little bit of leeway in terms of, okay, if it's very tough for you at work, or if there is some impending reason because of which you can't give an exam, they have been kind enough to accommodate us in that aspect also. So the good part is that we have support. We have support from the professors, we have support from our family, and for a lot of us, support from our work also. And so that support has helped us, manage and find time in doing what we really signed up for. So yeah.
Thank you, Jaina. Professors, you have now interacted with both the cohorts, if sufficiently enough. Have you experienced, if you have any anecdotes to share, any change in these participants from your, say, the day you took your first class to when you finished your course, or through the period of teaching? Did you observe anything where they maybe thought more carefully, or they brought any additional insights, or was there any feedback mechanism? Like you already mentioned that them wanting to stay back later, keep on asking questions, coming prepared is sort of a feedback for you to see that yes, your classes are going well or the course is making impact. But are you able to see that, or have they come and told you personally or shared anything where they've said how whatever they've learned here, they've been applied, have been able to apply to their work, or have progressed in their roles or in their wherever workplaces or in their personal life and gotten bit better? I mean, do you have any such experiences that they have
So
shared with you?
maybe I start off on this because I've just had one course with them and I've not really interacted with the second batch so far. So with the second batch, the interaction will be scheduled in the months of July and August, as far as I'm concerned. Having said that, during the period of the course itself, right, and the period of the course itself was roughly about a month and a half or so. And because strategy is a lot about frameworks, and these are participants who are at that kind of positions in organizations as well, that they can directly apply some of these frameworks. So during the coursework itself, many participants would write back, right? So they would keep in touch, they would write back saying that they've been able to apply, say, some framework of strategy in terms of in terms of their delivering their workplace, some project as far as their workplace is concerned. So that kind of a direct application is what I had definitely noticed. Apart from that, I think again, as far as the course is concerned, it is also about a broader view of thinking, right? So it's not really very execution focused, it's not very operations focused, it's also about seeing things the way we call it at a 30,000 feet level, right? So to that end, you could also gradually see that how these participants are also able to, in a way, mold their own thinking, right? So how are they able to observe the same kind of an organizational problem, but from a broader lens? So that is what I could observe. But however, I mean, as I said, my interaction with them was only about for a month and a half. And then, of course, a few participants, whenever they would be on campus, we would meet or catch up. We had a number of participants who were also based out of Ahmedabad. Yes. And they would be here in campus. So we would just catch up at Tea Post and Radhika's and so on and so forth. And they would just generally tell about what is going on in their life and so on. But then, yeah, I think during the period of the coursework itself, a lot of direct application is what at least, as came as a feedback from the participants. So maybe others who've taught the electives as well will be able to also see that longitudinal kind of a progression.
Yeah, so as I said, my elective is sort of going on right now, and but I can remember a few instances during the last couple of years when some of the students wrote wrote to me about the essence of randomness, something which I just touched upon in my courses, and I was quite impressed, uh, to the point of being amazed at the depth of their thinking, because randomness itself is a very profound concept. In my experience teaching stats, which goes back to, I don't know, quite a few years, I have never had a student or students, especially students who are working, like the BPGP students, thinking about delicate concepts like randomness, normality, the essence of normality so deeply. To be honest, even when I was a student, I rarely went that deep. So, that again proved the point that they were genuinely interested in a subject like statistics, because I think unlike strategic management, which is highly applied and relatable, it takes a lot of effort to make statistics relatable without sacrificing the rigor. So that's one challenge that I have always faced, because it's very easy to make statistics simplistic, but if you do that, you run the great risk of sacrificing some of the rigors or underlying assumptions. So those mails and those interactions reminded me of the essence of some of the major foundational concepts of statistics. And frankly, I did not expect it, those kind of, thoughts to come from my students. So that was a very, very pleasant surprise. Thank you.
Yeah. I have seen this in two places. One, I was also so the students have a kind of a project course, and I was kind of like one of the uh, persons who they presented to. So there I saw a lot of application. In fact, like in strategy, we say that maybe the biggest learning you can take out of a strategy course is more integrated thinking, like not kind of functional thinking, integrated thinking. I saw that firsthand in the projects. So all the projects that I attended really based on lot of in-depth analysis and also taking a more integrated view, not just functional view. So that was one. And another, in the elective I teach, there is a particular assignment. In fact, the final assignment is you bring your own problems. You have to go and talk to a small or medium enterprise. You talk to them about their problems. You get the problems from them, and then you kind of provide solutions for them along with that. And I had told them specifically that, like, basically you can, of course, there is a part of the course, but I would want that MSME owner or that person you talk to actually value your recommendation. And I saw a lot of effort going into that, that you're really actually helping a business. So you actually do some consulting, and that business actually gained out of the recommendation that you did. And I really saw some very interesting projects in that course. So that was another way.
I think before we go on to questions, taking questions from our participants, Professor, some closing words on today. We are addressing an audience of prospective participants, those who are maybe considering, have applied, or are in process of applying. What would be your piece of advice to them, or anything that you want to tell them that maybe encourages them to enroll for this program, or how this program can help them from your perspective? Any closing remarks on that?
Okay. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, there'll be a couple of points that I would like to, kind of focus, want the prospective candidates to focus on, right? If they're considering about applying to this program. First of all, I would urge you not to apply to the program if you think this is an easy program, right? So if you think this is an easy program which kind of gives you a backdoor entry kind of a thing, I don't think you really understand what the entire course or the program is all about. The program is very high on rigor. The program is extremely high on seriousness. And if you're willing to put in the effort, if you're willing to put in the hours, right? So I would then encourage you to apply to the program. So we would want candidates who are willing to put in the efforts. We would want candidates who are willing to put in the rigor, right? As far as a program goes. Secondly, see, when you talk of IIM Ahmedabad as an institution, we have a number of programs, of course, being as part of IIM Ahmedabad itself. We've got the 2-year PGP, the 1-year PGPX. We have now the program in 1-year PGPX in Dubai as well. We have the PPGP. We have other programs which are kind of getting rolled out. Also, be mentally prepared to kind of interact with participants from all of these programs. So it doesn't matter if you're there on campus just for a few days every now and then. You can always find opportunities. You can always make it happen, such that you network with participants from the other programs as well. So do not get very comfortable with the idea that you're only from this PPGP batch, right? And I think that's the key strength of IIM Ahmedabad as an institution as well, because you tend to leverage, you tend to learn a lot, you tend to leverage a lot of insights as well as contacts when you actually spread your reach, far wider. So two things. First of all, be prepared to put in the hours and rigor if you choose to apply. If you're going to consider this to be a non-serious program, then I would kind of tell you don't apply. Right? I think that's very, very clear, at least from my end. Secondly, if at all you choose to apply, if at all you get selected, etc., then I think be prepared mentally also to use the network that IIM Ahmedabad has to offer. Otherwise, the learning is only half done. So yeah, so two things from my end.
Yeah, I can only corroborate what Professor Goyal has mentioned. I tell my participants that hold yourself to standards such that the next Raghuram Rajan and Ajay Banga comes from the BPGP core. Because you guys are the new ambassadors of IIMA. But for that end, you really have to be ready to work hard. So when I was doing my PhD, I came across a saying at the back of a car when I was driving. Uh, it says that it said something which has remained with me forever. It was talent beats hard work only if talent works hard. You guys are talented, no doubt, because you have the courage to even think of a program such as PPGP, which is very rigorous. But don't sit on the fact that you are talented. If you want to succeed in life, if you want to succeed in BPGP, you have to work hard regardless of the fact of the quantum of your talent. So you have to, sort of have an internal conversation with yourself that whether you are really up to it. Because, the one issue with IIMA is every student of IIMA thinks that he or she is a gift from God. But then when they come to IIMA through whatever program, they realize that everyone around them are gifts of God. So that's a culture shock. So be prepared for that culture shock. Because you will be amazed a crowd of talented, hardworking individual. Whether you can live up to that, that is basically what the program will test.
Yeah, I would just say that we have put a lot of thought into this program. If you are like, I'm sure you are also doing your own research, comparing different programs, different MBA programs across the globe. This is my personal opinion. The broad shift that has come across is the importance of knowledge and skill over just affiliation and brand. That's like the global movement that companies which come to business schools are also actually looking at more knowledge and skill. And there, this program, I would say, compared to the other programs, of course, you get all the benefits. You get the brand, you get the networks, but this is high on learning, and the motivation also has to be that when I go out of this program, I learn a lot, I develop new skills, and many of our current participants are doing that. I like Dhiman, in my course, I kind of don't teach any data or something, but I see application of statistics. I see so many of them have taught themselves statistical softwares. Some have tried to pick up coding and something. So they have tried to invest in skills even during the program. So if that's the mindset that I can gain a lot of knowledge and a lot of learning through the program and not just an affiliation, which will kind of give me a kind of a career shift or something like that, then I think this program is for you.
I think we will open for question answers now. I request the participants to please raise your hand so that we can call out your names to ask questions. I see Tanya Singh has already raised her hand. Tanya, please go ahead, ask your question.
Hi, good evening to the faculty members and all the participants. So my question is regarding, actually, I was looking at the student profile of IIMA BPGP program, and there is one observation that I made, and it was that almost all of them were from engineering background. So my question here is that what does this program really look for in a candidate's profile? Because for non-engineering students, is this program the right one?
If I can take this, Professor. Tanya, we have a diversity of industries which our students come from, ranging from manufacturing, FMCG, even in terms of academics, we have students who come from arts background, sciences background, engineering, etc. We have doctors, yes. We have 2 doctors in our cohorts, 2 to 3 doctors. So as far as the screening process is considered, we do not only have any special weightage given to a particular stream of education. Like the eligibility criteria mentions that anybody with a basic graduation or in any degree or any professional certificate is accepted. So you need not worry that the concentration is only towards engineering students. I hope I've answered your question. You have a follow-up?
No, ma'am. This answers my question very well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Yes, Mr. Kumar Saurabh.
Yeah, thank you so much, the faculties and the admission team, for your greater insights. So I am from public health background. So I want to know how relevant this program is from people from social background. What sort of, the percentage you get of candidate in from social sector?
We do have significant candidates from all sectors, like I mentioned. And as far as the effectiveness of this program for your sector, I think Professor Joshi, would you want to take this up? You will be a better.
At the outset, you must, recognize that this is an MBA program. Therefore, almost 80-90% of the content would be towards business, directed to improve their efficiency through.
So your voice is not clear. Could you?
Is that better now?
Yeah,
the volume is
the
little.
volume is a little
Volume
low.
is a problem. Okay, I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
Professor.
yes.
Yes,
Now
it's
it's perfectly fine.
Right.
Thanks
Yes.
for raising. Yeah.
Okay. My response is this is primarily an MBA program and therefore targeted for business. And we don't really have an excessive social sector focus. There are some courses which are offered in second year subject to demand, but much of the content is actually for for-profit entities. That's all what I can say. So therefore, you can't think of this as a program addressing the development sector or social sector.
Sure. Yes, Mr. Girdhar.
Hi, professors and the moderator. So my question is regarding the electives specifically. So the electives are subject to the cohort, or is it pretty standard based on the electives that is provided in the brochure?
Like you might have seen in the brochure, we do not provide an extensive list of electives. We do look at what the cohort is in that particular year in the batch, because the idea is that this program is meant as a career accelerator. It is an upskilling program. So we look at, what is the strengths, or where does the program cohort want to, focus on, and we try to cater to those electives, and that is why it is a very versatile list. Professor Joshi, you might want to add on to that, if at all.
As in any program, one can imagine that there are some electives which are perennially offered, but I would say that the basis of all judgment is based on the cohort pool. So we curate for all programs electives based on the demand. The students have a sense of what the batch desire. Of course, it's quite normal to really have certain staple courses being offered repeatedly. So, and therefore that may appear like these are core electives, but we don't really have that concept. But virtually it becomes the core elective. That's the way it is being offered. Yeah. So it is
Professor,
demand pull.
Professor Jacob, is it okay if I extend on that a little bit?
Sure, you can.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ash.
So what I also want to tell, right, is the office has their ears to the ground in terms of, wanting to gauge where do our interests lie. So I'm in my elective year. At the beginning of the second year, a survey was also taken from us on which fields would we like to explore. To a large extent, the electives that are being offered, when I look back at that survey, are in line with what we had asked for. Of course, you have the elective mix that comes from PGP, PGPX, but there are also cutting edge electives, some of them specifically being tailored for BPGP, that have been brought into the fold as well. So rest assured, in terms of the assortment, you'll have a lot to choose from.
Thank you, Ashwat. Yes, Mr. Bajpai.
Yeah, good evening, professors and everyone in the call. My question is, I am already leading, I have around close to 20 years experience now, and I am already leading a department here in one of my current company. But my objective of coming to this program is moving to CXO level roles rather than having a more competent. I have only been into operations on few functions, but moving into the CXO level roles requires some sort of understanding. So whether this program because I see it has only, I mean, the minimal eligibility criteria is only around 3 years, 3+ years. So whether people like me, this program will be a good fit, or some other program or some other things. So,
Uh, one thing I just mentioned before I hand it over to again Professor Joshi to answer this. The current cohorts that we do have, the average work experience of our cohort is around 9 years, and we have the diversity that we have ranges from, like you said, the eligibility criteria, which is minimum 3 years, to going up to 20-25 years as well. So, and as professors were mentioning in our discussion earlier, also this diversity is what makes this program very unique, because the kind of discussions that happen in class, the kind of value that comes out of the course gets multiplied and enhanced because of this diversity. So on that front, we would encourage you to consider that. But of course, if it meets your personal upskilling goals, then whether this is the right fit for you or not. Professor Joshi, you want to add something on that?
So I have the following 2 points. Point number one, uh, there is a first year course which is really very wide in terms of the assortment it covers, right from accounting to economics to organizational behavior to communication. These are what we call the foundational courses in first year. That is certainly not at CXO level. You will find a set of courses in second year which is focused specifically on leadership, but bulk of the program is to really give exposure to business and business decisions from a functional standpoint, from a tool standpoint, from a approach and philosophy standpoint. So in that sense, it is building up from ground. So if you are specifically looking for a CXO training program, I think maybe a specialized course would be more ideal. But if you think your need is UI, I'm yet to understand a lot of functional areas, therefore that is important for my build up, then it will help. That's the way I'll put it. Yeah. If you think you have a fair amount of exposure to basic functions of business, and you are reasonably well ingrained in the technicalities, then I think what you require possibly is people skills and leadership and strategic thinking and things of that kind to really go up the ladder, right? Because that from going from department head to CXO, maybe that's a kind of skill that your span of control will increase. You'll have to interact with the board, all that will come. So it doesn't have this kind of a very specialized focus. Yeah, that's the nature of the program.
Professor, any one of you would like to add to that?
Yeah, I can talk about my course, which is strategy, and some other courses I know or something. So the whole, in fact, like in all our programs, one of the pedagogical kind of methods we use is we ask you to kind of take or wear the hat of a CXO. At least in strategy cases, we say even, and for Achal's questions, probably he is much more nearer to that role. You can imagine in other programs, probably they are not going to be a CEO or a CXO role very near after the MBA, but still we kind of ask them at least to kind of take that decision making role or kind of play that decision making role when looking at problems and courses. So a lot of our pedagogy is actually trained for those roles, and the hope is that this kind of comes useful when you will actually kind of get to that kind of a position someday.
Yeah. I would just like to extend the point that Professor Vivek also has mentioned, and having taught a number of, not these kind of extensive programs, but say shorter duration programs, wherein also participants enter because they want to target those CXO level roles, or programs where the participants are CXOs themselves, right? A lot of them, and interactions based, interactions with them on that basis, they also come up, many a time saying that they could have undergone a very structured MBA process, because it's a lot of merit in doing that. What happens is, even at a CXO level, or just one level below N-2 perhaps, you end up taking a lot of decisions. You are functionally focused, but then you do not really know. So intuitively you take a lot of decisions, right? But then the minute people ask you why, you kind of just lose the plot somewhere. And I think that's where a very structured kind of a program actually lends itself. It kind of is merit worthy to pursue it. So I would suggest, again, I'm just building on Professor Joshi's point as well. Uh, Many times we think we know, but then we may not necessarily know. right? So I think a structured MBA program also helps in that. Even if you have those foundational courses in the first 1 year, because it becomes as a good refresher. You have to also unlearn a lot of things which you think you know, right? And approach getting into that CXO role in a more structured manner. So that would be my 2 cents on this.
I think we'll take the next question. Arvind, are you? Yeah,
Yes. Sorry.
no problem.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for all the panel members present over there. So my question is like in the website, I've seen the list of modules being covered in the first year, but the for the second year, it is nothing mentioned over there. Was that a miss, or else it was deliberately not published? If you don't mind, can you please share the list of modules covered in the second year as well? That is my
Arvind,
first question.
yeah, we recently just discussed this that the electives list is not deliberately put on the website because we don't have a fixated list of electives that we offer. It changes from cohort to cohort. And since we have only 2 cohorts running right now, as of now, we don't have a list put up. It's more versatile in nature. And we do have various areas in which electives are offered in that sense.
Okay, that
I think
helps. One last
if you are
question.
interested, we can share the list of courses that had been offered to the current batch.
Yeah.
There is no guarantee that it will be the same set of courses that will be offered to another batch because
I
it
see.
will
Okay.
change
If
depending
that
on.
can be shared, that would be helpful. At least it can be used for my
Yeah,
reference.
sure,
Sure. You
Yeah,
can write to the inquiries ID and we will see how we can help you out with that.
sure, sure. And the another question, that's last my last question. So currently I'm into an independent operations role. Okay, although I'm not handling a dedicated team. To that be seen as an merit or a demerit as part of the selection criteria is concerned? That's my
Um,
question.
not really, Professor
So,
Joshi.
what do you mean by independent operations function? Is it part of an organization or?
Yes, yes, I'm part of a service organization where I'm working as an working in an independent role. Okay, it's not like an freelancer. I'm part of the organization only. Okay, and this is
That should not, as long
not a
as
management role. Okay.
you meet the work experience criteria, of course,
Mhm.
subject to the selection process, it should not become a disqualifier. Of course, one need to specifically see if that qualifies as experience, which we consider as important. But
Oh,
right now, we're saying minimum experience in managerial or business role. And there are candidates who are from service sector. There are candidates from the social sector. We have a
mhm.
government sector. So we have a variety of them. We haven't qualified the experience as yet. So if you can share your specific query, that we will be able to respond to.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Joshi.
Yeah.
We have last 2 questions for today. Saloni, can you go ahead with your question, please?
I think, Priyansha, there are some general concerns which had been raised. If I could
Yes, sir.
just couple of minutes very quickly on them, we could really give a general perspective.
Yes, sir, sure.
One part is around the equivalence of the program with PGP and PGPX. Um, I would say that these programs target different audience. So PGP is a long duration program where we are actually targeting candidates without much experience. So therefore, it is a program with much larger number of credits. This program is primarily, formulated in the spirit of PGPX, which is meant for working professionals. So this is closer to PGPX. So then a related question that is being asked is by experience similar? The answer is yes. Curriculum covers similar set of courses. Where, if any, difference comes is because the number of slots available in this program is relatively smaller, though it is spread over 2 years. Therefore, at a point in time, the number of courses it can accommodate in the second year is naturally will be a smaller set. In that sense, compared to PGP, where we are probably offering 50 or 60 electives in a term, here I think the maximum number of electives which we have gone is in a term probably less than 30, but certainly in more than 20. So that difference will exist. It's a It's a fact that, the structurally the time slots available, it's not a full-time program where students are on campus from 8 to 8 in the evening. So obviously that's one difference. That's one very quick one I want to address. The second one is actually related to degree. I think it's clarified. It's an MBA degree, but the program name will be mentioned on the certificate. The third is actually um, about placement support. We directly do not provide the same career support that we provide for PGP or PGPX. However, as we mentioned, based on the idea is you would actually gain significantly in terms of your skill and ability, and that should allow you to accelerate in your career. That's where I will put it to be. The third posture is around alumni status. You get the alumni status as a full alumni of any other program. There is no question mark on that. All right. The next set is actually around career transition. Is what is the outcome that you have in terms of career transition of the participants? As you are aware, the first cohort is still doing their second year. There are career transitions that they have been able to secure, but it is very difficult for me to, or the candidate at this moment, to really attribute it to necessarily the program. I think, given the nature of this program, it will take a while. So therefore, we don't really have any documentation at this moment on that. That is something that I want to straight away address. The last is about the entrance examination. I think there is enough information which is available specifically, given the regulatory nature of the exam. We want to be a little more specific on that. So if you have specific queries which are beyond what is already on the website, please do mail them. You will get a reply. These are the main concerns that I saw coming up
Yes.
in different pastures. Yeah. I think one I missed, that is about AI integration. There were a lot of repeated comments on that. We believe that increasingly the world is becoming more knowledge consumers rather than knowledge producers. We primarily want IIMA students to be knowledge producers rather than necessarily knowledge consumers exclusively. Obviously, learning from first principles is important. Therefore, are the courses entirely run on AI? The answer is no, because having the transition of your mind is very important. You can't just be sleepwalking something. But is AI being used in classroom? The answer is yes. To the extent it can really help you fasten your learning, pull out data, process that, all of that is being done. But it's more aiding rather than abdicating. We don't believe in abdication of learning in the classroom just by using AI. So for all these reasons, it's not really an AI-led course. I can say AI is being used as part of what we think is the right balance for each of the courses. As my colleague Dhiman was saying, statistics to be taught. First, you need to know what is mean, mode, median, and then, hypothesis testing and standard error and things of that kind, distinguish a normal distribution from a student distribution and all that. After that, you can say it is in my mind. Now I can just ask, the LLMs to give me what kind of distribution does it fit. So first principle learning is very important, and we put a lot of emphasis on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. And like Professor mentioned, if you have any specific queries about the admission process, about the program, you would get the inquiry email ID and contact details in the chat. Please feel free to write to us. You will receive a response within 24 to 48 hours. Saloni will take you as the last question. If you can please go ahead.
Yes, hi team, good evening. Actually, I want to ask, I do have currently 4 years of experience. So, after that, can I apply, or what are the eligibility criteria? Is after 4 years of experience, can I apply, or
Yes, Saloni. If you have seen the website, you can find the detailed eligibility criteria there. And for applying for this program, you need minimum 3 years of work experience. Since you have 4 years work experience, you become eligible. But please also check the other criteria, which is you should have a basic bachelor's graduation in any particular stream of education or a professional degree, and you should be minimum 24 years of age. That is mandatory before you consider applying. But you can visit our website, you can get the details in the chat box. And following that, if you have any specific question, please feel free to write to us or contact us on the number given there.
Yes, my second question was regarding in this course, are there any particular specialization? Are there any option to apply any specialization, particular specialization like in finance domain or?
The MBA program at IIMA still actually awards a general degree. But if the
All
candidates so desire, you can really take the concentration that you want. It could be in finance, it could be in marketing, it could be in operations by choosing the set of credits that you would like to specialize on. But we do not put that on record. That's the way I'll put
Okay.
it. Part of the
Okay.
reason for that is very simple. Students often want to really retain the flexibility of cutting a career path based on what they think is most opportunistic at that moment when they are exiting. So I think
Oh,
traditionally we have kept that as the window and kept it going.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Saloni. Avinash, you're the
Thank you.
last question for this evening. Avinash?
Hello. Yeah, hi. Hey, thanks, panel, for the giving me opportunity to speak. Just like to know, see, this program is about, as you say, that uh, for the professional one will be there. So, like to know what are the, how do we, it will be online or offline will be there, and how uh, the module will be distributed or communicate to the users.
So, Avinash's program is delivered directly to your device through a Zoom link like this. 80% of the program is conducted online through live sessions that run from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And
Hmm.
20% happens on campus. So, once each term, that is 6 times, you will visit the campus for 1 week where you will
Hmm.
have classes in person at regular hours. And more details about that, you can find it in our brochure as well as the website. So, I'd
Yes.
request you to go through that information, and if you have any specific further questions, then you can, of course, write to us or contact us on the number given in the chat box. We'll happy to help you there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, professors, for joining us today. Thank you so much, Professor Joshi, for joining us. And thank you, guys. We hope to be able to see some of you applying for the program. Also, one last announcement. The IIMA-BPGP team is coming to Bangalore on March 22nd. We are holding an open house. So all the participants that are in Bangalore, make sure to register. The registration link goes live tomorrow. So keep checking our social media pages. And we hope to meet you in person in Bangalore if any of you are there. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.